That scene reminds me of the opening scene to Inglourious Bastards.
Wow. No, you're right. It's a chess match.
That same kind of like, we're going to talk this out, but how much do you know is what they're really trying to figure out.
He usual suspects him too.
Oh yeah, right. And the power. Who's in charge here is what they're trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm. And I like how he sees that he doesn't have shoes. So later on, that comes into play. And then later on, when he pulls his name Bill Clay, but then also Bruce Willis plays him with the gun. But then he holds him there long enough so that McClane has to run away. And it's just, it's such a neat chess match because, like, Megan, I made you watch Commando. And I've made you watch some 80s action films. Mm-hmm. They're just burly villains. They're not overly, like, you have the Bond maniac people like Dr. No and Goldeneye.
Yeah, they're not trying to be complex, cross-genre, enduring pieces of pop culture. Mm-hmm. This movie, I saw someone say it's a romance, it's a comedy, it's an action movie, it's a bank heist, it's so many different things all at once.
I mean, at the very end...
It's a Christmas movie.
When John McClane meets Al Powell, Megan, and they hug, it's like, it pulls on your heartstrings, and then you get Holly punching William Atherton, who's one of the greatest jerks ever. Shut up, Harvey. And then you get Argyle busting out of the garage after one-punch KOing Theo right in the face, knocking him out, and then he drives him home.
Oh, yeah. You know the part with Argyle and the ambulance only came in the last 10 days of filming?
Oh, really? They didn't know?
Really?
Yeah, originally they had a piece of dialogue where...
Argyle?
No, where
McClane?
I'm blanking on Alan Rickman was going to say that to Holly, and he was going to explain to her about the car and the ambulance and it's waiting for them and all this stuff, and they felt like it was clunky. And this was from Steven D'Souza saying this in the 30th anniversary piece, and they just didn't like it, and they decided to show it instead. And they were like, we have Argyle and we want to give him a moment, so they just showed it.
Oh, and he one punch KOs the dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I love is there... Can off the top of our head, this is really rough to do, but you have John McClane going a full character arc. Like, remember that scene, Adam, when he first meets with Holly at the place and he's watching his face and he just acts like a turd, and then she walks away, and then he's talking to himself like, he's like, you're an idiot. Like, you are stupid. So he gets it. He wants to be back with her, and at the end, he makes this ultimate sacrifice to save her. Then you have Reginald VelJohnson, who kind of talks about how he shot the kid, and then he comes around and shoots the former ballet dancing Carl Alexander Godunov, who was a ballet dancer, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then you get Argyle punching people in the face. You get, even the chief cop, when he goes, we're going to need more FBI guys. Like, he gets a line.
So what a lot of this came from, because they were doing double duty shooting. Bruce was still on Moonlighting, and he would shoot 10-hour days, I think, on Moonlighting, and then he'd come to this set and he'd shoot. And at some point, the writer and the director got together and said, we've got another week of this, so let's just go carve out some side stories. And that's how you got so many side stories, because they kept coming up with extra material to fill in for his Moonlighting overlap.
My jaw just dropped, Adam.
Well, but if you think about it, there's some really amazing stuff, like the reporter who's in the station, and he's just so annoyed with everyone around him, even though he's an idiot. And you've got the thing with the reporters at the house. You've got the henchmen, all the stuff with them. You've got the cops,
in the helicopter.
Yeah, the FBI guys, the cops down on the ground, the ones running into the rose bushes. You get all of that.
Does anybody else think it's interesting that, like, moonlighting is the act of working a second job?
That's amazing. Oh, and I got a Moonlight story to tell you. I was watching the movies that made us, and it was really interesting what they were talking about. McTiernan was saying that Bruce Willis on Moonstruck is just super sarcastic, where she's like, "I'll give you to the count of 3," and he's like, "Can you count to the count? Can you count to 3?" Like that kind of sarcasm. And McTiernan said that it worked really well on TV, but on a movie, no one liked him. So if you watch some scenes, like on the airplane when he's getting off and the stewardess flirts with him, he's much more sarcastic in an extended take. And so they worked hard to take those sarcastic edges and add more emotional depth to him, and not just make him the one-dimensional sarcastic guy that people will hate on screen. Because McTiernan said it. He's like, I saw him on the big screen and I hated it. So they added the scene where he's kind of crying, taking the glass out of his feet, his relationship with Powell, him talking to himself, saying that he's stupid. When he gets kissed at the LA party, he's not like, oh, bro. He's like, oh, it's LA. So they watched Moonstruck and they realized it worked for TV, but it didn't work for movies. So that was like one of the hardest things they had to do was make his character funny, but not so sarcastic. But it worked. It paid off.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, this movie made Bruce Willis the star.
Oh, yeah.
Because then he was untouchable for years after this. And I think too, like, he just, for a while, just was Bruce Willis. Like, he just was John McClane in every movie he was in.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And the problem is, though, there's depth in this character. So there's not, I think people do coast by on roles, but in this one, he's like, he talks to himself. He's a pain in the butt. When Holly said, yeah, he's annoying him, that's my husband, you get that, but then you also get that he's a nice guy. It's interesting.
This movie reminds me of First Blood, where the reputation is like, oh, those Rambo movies are all this like nonsense action. But you watch the First Blood movie and it's like, it's a film. It's kind of amazing, right? Like the story, the arc that guy goes on, the performance put into it, and then all the extra stuff that comes with the lore now overshadows that. And it's the same thing with Die Hard now. There's 5 of them and it's a whole thing. But this first movie, like you say, was a real character he was playing and there was real depth to him.
It's just, yeah, it's a 3-dimensional character. He actually has an arc throughout the movie. Yeah. I mean, they have to keep regressing him in the other films, but I still like Die Hard 1 through 4 a lot. I love all the Die Hard movies. I
like how you said 1 through 4, all the Die Hard movies.
Yeah, the 4 Die Hard movies that exist. So,
this is like the Pirates paradox.
Oh gosh. So we've been, there's no Pirates 4, right? Is that it? Yeah, we've, you, Megan, you live with me, so you know it. And Adam, you've been talking, you've known me since 2011.
By law, I do.
Right. I'm pretty positive with films. I don't.
Yeah, you don't say much negative.
No, I just, that's why I don't talk about Die Hard 5.
Right.
It's not like, and I feel so weird as a member of fandom. I think a lot of fandom does become toxic, and we've seen that at our Comic-Cons. And Megan, you've been to them, like you've seen how toxic they become. So I don't like complaining about movies and just, you guys put all this work into it and I hate it. But Die Hard 5 is not Die Hard 5. It's a dude, father-son Moscow trip. That's the name of it.
Right. Mark, you want to know why I know you don't like talking negative about movies?
Why?
The second conversation I had with you, the first one was like, hey, I'm Adam. Like, hey, I'm Mark. I'm going to be kind of running this place. And I'm like, I'm Adam. I'll do whatever you tell me to do because I'm volunteering. The second conversation we had, you were like, you know what I enjoyed about the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie? Let me tell you.
I said that.
Yeah. You just like, we're all pumped up about it. You're like, yeah, they made some mistakes, but here's what I liked about it. And I was like, I like this guy, Mark, because he's like, let's talk about positive things, where the rest of the world would say, let's talk about negative things.
And Tough Mudders. I talked to you about Tough Mudders.
Tough Mudders. You were so jazzed about that Tough Mudder. Megan, was it crazy living with him after he came back from his first Tough Mudder?
No, because didn't you hurt your ankle?
Yeah, I blew my ankle. I hurt my ankle for about 8 months.
I didn't hear about that. I just heard about how like the Tough Mudder was the greatest thing since Die Hard.
We have a cycle around here of enthusiastic interest in certain like sports, and then
pain.
One or both of us gets injured, and then they sort of die off, and we find something new.
Yeah. So yeah, I ran a lot. I can't run anymore because I'm just all jacked up. But I was training for the Tough Mudder by playing disc golf and running, and I rolled my ankle on a tree branch, and then I ran the Tough Mudder. And then I went and walked on concrete.
It got worse.
And then I went to work on film sets for 12-hour days. And then my ankle just looks like bread pudding right now. Wait, what? It looks like his feet after Die Hard when he steps on those glass.
Oh, that was gross. Reginald VelJohnson said he didn't understand how important their relationship between Al and Bruce Willis was until they got to that scene.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Well, this was his first big movie, just like Bruce Willis. So
Brucey Willie.
Yeah, B. Wills. So
now has he only played police officers, Reginald VelJohnson?
I'm not sure, but he did get Family Matters because of Die Hard.
Wow. He is such a likable screen presence.
I know. You just want to give him a hug.
In this movie, is there a more likable...
Which is not allowed these days, but still.
The casting in this movie. Bonnie Bedelia's casting, too, as Holly Gennaro McLean. But just the way that she goes... Like, when she's... Okay, you know you're a good actor when you can hold a scene with Alan Rickman. Doesn't matter when Alan Rickman. Anytime Alan Rickman. And that scene where... I know it's good writing, but where she's getting couches for people and she's kind of, like, giving it back to him and being sarcastic. And, I mean, I like her character a lot in this movie. You could tell she's lived with John for a long time. She's like, oh man, she's annoying him.
Yeah, who put you in charge?
Yeah, and I guess she becomes she becomes the damsel in distress at the end, but it's not her fault. It's you have the dum-dum's fault, who gets shot. Hey, Bubby, Hans, Bubby.
Oh my gosh.
He gets his
guy.
Ellis, right? He gets his blown
guy,
off.
Like, he just,
what did you say about him, Megan?
He's just this very stereotypical sales guy, and he's so... I kind of want to know what direction he was given, because he does it so well, this awful, annoying character.
Mm-hmm.
He nails the car salesman.
He does, down
so
to this,
well.
like, sweatiness, too.
Yeah. When he asks for, like, a Coke...
With a glass.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was like, they are gonna shoot you in your face, sir.
And then they pan past his head, and the Coke is still sitting there.
Yeah. That dolly shot of his head resting bloodily.
It's gruesome.
Yeah, and that's what I like about this movie too. Is the threats in this movie are real.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Tagagi being shot in the head, murdered.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have Ellis being murdered. People die in this movie, and they were going to blow up everybody at the end, too. So there are these stakes of... You know what else is interesting, too, is you have a very highly capable hero, and then he is battling highly capable henchmen. And if you think about a lot of movies like Commando or Time Cop, you're thinking, who hired these henchmen? Where are they from? Why are they here?
But these guys are so good.
Exactly.
They all have skills. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the Leverage crew is following Hans Gruber around.
Whoa. With better hair.
No Timothy Hutton.
I mean, it's just, they're all... he has great hair.
So, according to Steven D'Souza, part of their script strategy to keep the pace and the urgency was they had a mantra that they needed to kill somebody about every 15 minutes. Wow.
So the first kill, I timed this, the first kill comes at 8 minutes. And then the second kill comes at 18:38. And then you just then you have Tagaki, and then you have, then you build the kills. So, yeah.
They had their script and who they were going to kill, but then sometimes based on the progression and how the actors were doing with each other and how much they liked the people in their roles, they would swap out kills. So Theo, the sort of computer guy, they were going to kill him much earlier, but then they liked him acting in the movie, so they decided to kill him later and they swapped someone else out.
Wow.
And then he went on to play Tyrell in Walker, Texas Ranger, correct?
Oh, I loved that show.
Wait, who?
He was the sidekick for Walker.
Theo.
Did you not watch Walker, Texas Ranger?
I did not.
Mark.
He was also in Top Gun as Sundown, wasn't he?
Here, I got it right here on IMDb. And the crowd goes wild. I love that scene where he's walking in and then the dude just shoots him.
Oh my gosh, he is the guy.
Yeah, Sundown in Top Gun.
James Trevette. He was a great
Trevette.
But like Theo, you know what's interesting? Theo is such a likable, charismatic villain. He's so and then like Tony and you know what's interesting in this?
Spunk.
my favorite action movies, right? The Raid. You have the main guy, but then you also have Mad Dog as the secondary antagonist. So Lethal Weapon. You have Mr. Joshua, who is Gary Busey. He's that in Under Siege 2. I love a good secondary antagonist in movies. So in this one, you have Carl, but Carl actually has an arc because his brother Tony is killed and humiliated with a ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun. So you have a henchman in this movie who's goofing off with his brother in the beginning when he's cutting the phone lines, but then you have a henchman on a revenge arc who, like, you actually feel that.
I'm telling you, side plots. They built it up. You know what I also like? That you don't quite know what the villains are up to for quite a while.